Hello and welcome to the Source Reports, where we work to provide facts, not opinion, and also provide the source for those facts for your own research. Make sure you're following us on Instagram, liking us on Facebook, and subscribing to us on YouTube. Today we're discussing the very sad state of mass shootings in the United States. Hi, this is Joe with the Source Reports. I've spent many hours this week since last weekend's tragic shootings researching data on mass shootings. The topic in and of itself is quite somber, but more discouraging to me was the vast amount of misinformation that is out there on various websites. Honestly, I found more dishonest and misrepresenting data than I found to be factual. I can only demise that people and organizations are purposely falsifying data to back up their opinions on both sides of the debate. Again, our efforts here at the Source Reports are to be factual and seek for the best sources of data so that you can determine for yourself what to believe. Of course, if you've been watching the news or reading your favorite written reports, opinions are rampant. Blame is being thrown around right and left. Knee-jerk reactions are again the standard for political sound bites, and little of what is being said has provided the whole picture. That will be our goal for this report. Most databases I've found defined a mass shooting as an event where someone selects 4 or more people and attempts to kill them with a firearm in an indiscriminate manner. But again, if you do your own research, you'll find that many out there use other definitions. We chose this definition as the FBI uses this as their standard and built our tables accordingly. By the way, our tables and reports are all available on our YouTube channel for download. Please subscribe when you're there. Let's look at our master table and define our various data columns and point out some interesting details. First, the total number of U.S. mass shootings we include in our database is 226 since April of 1965. Key columns of data include the number of victims that were killed, the gun type that was used, the shooter's race and gender, and a brief description of the event. We have also included a link to websites and articles that provided the details of the shootings. Again, this table is downloadable at our YouTube channel. Let's address factually some of the rhetoric that our less than factual news sources are telling you. You may have heard that mass shootings are increasing under President Trump. Well, looking at our chart, you can see that that is actually true. Sorry, Trump supporters. However, blaming President Trump is nonsensical, as the data shows a very consistent growth trend in our society over the last several decades. If you choose to blame our current president, are you also blaming President Obama for the nearly 3 times increase of shootings during his presidency than that of W's? Well, just be intellectually honest here, please. Another frequent statement that you will hear is that white men are responsible for most of these shootings. Let's look at the facts. Data shows that indeed, white men are the perpetrators in most of the mass shootings, totaling 131 of the 226 shootings in our table. So it is factual that white men are the most common assailants. But again, there is more to that story. When the racial percentages of mass shootings are compared to the percentage of the breakdown of the total U.S. population by race, the previous agreed to fact is very misleading. White Americans are currently 60.4% of the U.S. population. Thus, when whites are responsible for 58% of the mass shootings, that number should be predictable. Now, looking deeper into our data, Hispanic Americans make up over 18% of the population, but only account for less than 5% of the mass shootings. Thank you, my Latino brothers and sisters, for your tendency to be more peaceful. Now for some truths you may not like. African Americans make up 13% of our population, but are responsible for over 18% of the mass shootings. And the deadliest group? Arab Americans, who only make up 0.8% of our population, but are responsible for over 6% of mass shootings. Additionally, their shootings are the most deadly, with an average of 8.38 deaths per incident. I'm sure I'll be called a racist for merely pointing out the facts. Sorry if the truth hurts. Another statement frequently being spread is that assault rifle-style semi-automatic rifles are, number 1, the most commonly used weapon in mass shootings, number 2, are being used now more than ever, and number 3, kill more people when they are the weapon of choice of the mass shooters. Well, let's look at the data. From just the standpoint of the gun type used in mass shootings, handguns far surpass all other weapons, with semi-automatic rifles placing second, then shotguns, and rifles being used the least. So what are the trends? Are assault rifles being used more now frequently than ever in these shootings? Believe it or not, The first mass shooter to use a semi-automatic rifle was all the way back in July of 1976. Again, a general glance at the totals might make someone believe that their use is more commonplace now, as the past decade had 33 incidents that used an AR as a weapon. But again, that is misleading, as the only number that matters in this argument is the percentage of an AR's use compared to the total number of incidents. You will see that over time, the percentage of time an AR was used in a mass shooting has been pretty constant for 50 years. The other claim about semi-automatic rifles is, however, true. When an AR is used in a mass shooting, the number of deceased victims increases significantly over all weapons. Again, sorry if you don't like the facts, but they are the facts. Of course, these devastating shootings bring strong emotions, which politicians love to exploit. And like clockwork, many from both sides of the aisle have been calling for stricter gun laws. Again, there is so much disinformation being shoved down our throats. Of the 226 shootings in our table, only 48 incidents were guns purchased legally by the shooter. And in a massive 178 incidents, the guns used in the shootings were obtained illegally. Let me be clear. The current laws we have in place did not stop them from getting the guns. You really think new laws will sway someone that wants to commit mass murder? Finally, I do think we need to keep these tragic shootings in proper perspective. Again, I'm sure this will offend many of you. Trust me, I find these shootings tragic, pointless, and terrible. I just may not agree with you on what is causing these people to break like they do that brings them to commit such atrocities. When compared to the leading causes of death in the U.S., mass shootings are barely even measurable. Now, we can debate whether these causes of death are natural or preventable. I lean way more towards the latter, as health, diet, and lifestyle choices are a choice. But let's specifically compare mass shooting deaths to that of accidental deaths, which I think we could all agree are somewhat preventable. Again, mass shooting deaths are far fewer than drownings, complications from surgery, fires and smoke inhalation, and even accidental gun discharges. All of these deaths are tragic. But before we consider limiting the Second Amendment and the freedoms of the U.S. people, let's take a breath and get some perspective. To summarize, please educate yourself on the facts, and don't let people with hidden agendas manipulate you into believing falsehoods. Additionally, I will tell you again, there are multiple websites filled with data out there that are not comprehensive and that hide facts, I can only assume, to present false data to support their opinions. I hope this report shows our desire to be honest, as several facts we discussed support conservative beliefs and several facts support liberal beliefs. Now you need to decide what you believe. This is Joe Babender with the Source Reports, and those are the facts. Our tables and reports are available for downloading on our YouTube channel. See you soon with another objective and factual set of reports that we hope will help you better understand the world we live in. Thanks.